So yeah, the video game industry,
What about it?
it's kind of annoying right now.
Annoying?
Yes.
How's it annoying?
So for anyone who was not living under a rock for the last year and a half, I guess, Microsoft put in a bid to buy out Activision Blizzard, a ridiculously big publisher that also owns a crap ton of developers and a shit ton of IPs, including some beloved ones: Spyro, Crash, Tony Hawk, Call of Duty. I don't really consider Call of Duty beloved, and not for me at least. Then you have Overwatch, just a crap ton of IPs, right? I 100% was in the camp of no, don't let it happen. That shouldn't be cool. Like, what the fuck? That's going to give them way too much control over a lot of IPs, especially ones that I really do care about: Crash and Spyro and Tony Hawk. Those three were the main ones I was concerned with. PlayStation put up a fight, the FCC put up a fight, and in the end, Microsoft did indeed get to buy out Activision Blizzard. So that kind of sucks, but whatever. In a way, it upsets me, but I also understand that the developers kind of needed to get bought out. You know, like the developers for Activision Blizzard, because believe it or not, leadership at Activision Blizzard was toxic as fuck. It was horrible. Especially if you were a female, it just sucked working there. And a lot of developers under Microsoft at least say that, yeah, it's pretty good. So thankfully, they're the ones that are gonna like benefit the most out of this. However, it upsets me that there's now the possibility that Microsoft can take these beloved titles, at least for me, Crash, Spyro, and Tony Hawk, and say, oh, if you want to play them, you're gonna have to play them on Xbox. But they have been releasing things day and date with PC. So worst comes to worst, I'll just play it on my PC with my PS5 controller. So, but it still annoys me a little bit. It gives them a lot of control over a lot of these IPs, and especially now they're going to be able to like prop up their gaming subscription service, which I'm for it and against it at the same time, because look what's happening with all the video subscription services. Like, it's not really getting any better. You have a lot of these subscription services also making it impossible to like somewhat share an account with a friend or family. Netflix really screwed us over because our buddy AJ, all he wanted to do was watch Big Mouth, and now he can't even do it because he can't use my account. So that's it's getting frustrating, and Disney Plus is about to do the same thing in June.
Wow, I wonder if there's gonna be like, I don't know, an uptick in piracy or something because of all that kind of crap. Just saying.
I mean, look, also, a lot of people are saying that it freaking sucks that we kind of just can't own our games anymore. Everything's going digital. Yeah. Microsoft is really pushing a subscription service. Like, they would rather hemorrhage money to get us addicted to freaking having this subscription service, which, I'm going to be honest, it's not a bad service now. But later down the line, when they become the dominant service out there with all these games coming out day and date on their freaking subscription service, that price that everyone's benefiting from right now is not going to be the same. They're going to jack that up to, God knows. I believe it's still 15 at the moment. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. 15 a month, which isn't bad. 15 a month, and you have this entire catalog of games, plus whatever game, whatever first party game Microsoft throws out there, day and date. That's not fucking bad. That's a great ass deal. I'm worried about the future though. because Netflix used to be a really cheap deal. Everyone loved it. And then they increased the prices and they kept increasing it. And then they kept taking away parts of the service that everybody loved.
Yeah.
I'm worried that Microsoft is going to do the same thing. They can say no, they won't now. They also kind of said no, that they wouldn't. They told the FCC that they wouldn't vertically integrate Activision Blizzard, which means like make it part of like one huge like umbrella. And one of those things about not vertically integrating was like, oh yeah, we're not going to really deal with like staff or whatever. And then they laid off like 800, 900 people.
Jeez.
And that actually pissed off the FCC. So now they're going to have another FCC battle at some point, I believe. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. This is all secondhand information for me. I watch a lot of people covering this sort of information, so it kind of bothers me, and I'm worried about the future. Because again, we're dealing with all these subscription services right now. Like, if you want to catch anything worthwhile, you got to have a subscription on Amazon, Netflix, fucking Hulu, what's it called? Disney Plus, Apple Plus. Like, no.
Yeah. No, I hear you. God, I think it's just crazy though, because I know Windows has, let's be honest, way more money from the PC platform than it does from Xbox. But just thinking about how many IPs and companies they've like engulfed over the last few years, it's crazy to me that they would just keep going that track. Like at some point, I can't believe that they make that much money that they're gonna like try and buy every fucking company in the industry, you know? It's a little bit crazy. And I know like a few years back they were on another tear of just getting a bunch of different companies, and suddenly, you know, like not Oblivion.
Dude, they bought Bethesda, the parent company to Bethesda, which means they now own it.
ZeniMax, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's unbelievable to me that they still have all of this buying power in the industry. And also, you touched on something really important that I've been pissed off about a lot recently, which is just the inability to own your physical games. Because I really like the convenience that I get from buying digital. I like to just kind of open the different marketplaces, you know, the eShop, the PlayStation Store, and just like kind of see what's on sale and stuff like that. But every time I buy that, I have this sense of like of regret immediately, because I think to myself, if the service that this is on, the store that this physically was purchased from, if it goes down for any reason at any point, I don't actually own this anymore. So where is my money gonna be then? You know, it's not like I get a refund. And we just saw the Wii U and the 3DS have its online component taken down. So now,
yep,
you know, you can't really buy those games anymore. You
can't buy it. Supposedly, Nintendo said you'll be able to re-download them, which that's another problem.
Yeah.
When these online marketplaces go down, will you be able to still like retrieve your games?
Yeah.
So there are aspects of that is true. You still will be able to, at least for the 3DS and I think the Wii U. But people are saying that, for like the Smash Brothers for 3DS, like you had to buy whatever DLC that you needed to from the game itself, and then it took you into the store. Like you had to do it that way. So if you didn't have that shit installed before they shut down the servers, you were not going to be able to re-download whatever DLC you didn't have. Like it's gone. Like people have tested it, it's gone. You can't do it anymore because you have to go through the game. So that right there is already a piece of media that's gone. Like you just can't get it unless you hack it and then force it in.
Which supposedly game companies don't want people to do, but I mean at this point
they're not leaving us of choice.
How can you blame people for resorting to the forbidden art of emulating?
You're not letting us buy it. You're not.
Yeah, when they're not letting us buy it, it's like, I just, I can't help but think that these companies are bringing this on themselves, because there's no other option to get it. Like, we still enjoy this media, we still want to play these games, we still want to watch these shows, but if you take it away, I mean, where else are you gonna get it? You know, you're effectively taking something that exists and just putting it out of existence because, you know, it's time to update it to the new platform. And then to take that a step further, what gets really obnoxious is that, okay, so let's say I buy a Nintendo console, because for me usually the biggest problem is with Nintendo, but they're all guilty of doing it.
Oh, 100%.
Every last one of them. But let's say I buy a Nintendo console, and I got my Nintendo console. Of course, it has digital downloads, and this is like the beginning of the digital download era for me. Like, I finally get to do this. I'm like, man, it's so convenient. I don't have to go to the store. I just buy it here. I get my little point shop card and put it into the system, and then there we go. And I can buy a game off the internet. How crazy convenient is that? And then that console has now aged. It's now no longer the shiny new thing that it was once, and now it's time to move on to the next thing after the sequel console. Now, if you want to re-download, if you want to get all of that stuff, the way that Nintendo has done it, and they've been terrible about it, is that there's no transition from the content you already paid for on the old console to the new console. And then when you're like, okay, well, fine. I mean, I just need to buy, like, Zelda. Like, I really love Twilight Princess, and I need it on every console I own. So I just want to rebuy it. And then it's just like, okay, you have to wait forever for them to finally get a marketplace up and running with all the games that you want. And it's like, you're leaving people just no choice. It's either keep the old hardware around and have it clutter up your rooms, or just pirate it. I mean, there's nothing else that you could do, because the latest Nintendo console isn't even like close to giving you the same amount of classic games that the old ones had, you know. And it's really a shame. I didn't have a huge collection of virtual console stuff because I didn't have a lot of like disposable income at the time. I was just a broke college student. But I had some games. I had enough to say that I had like a small little collection. And then when it was time to move over to the Wii U, well, I didn't get the Wii U initially, but when it was time to move over to like the Switch, it's like, okay, can it just be that Nintendo just has a service called the Virtual Console, and no matter what system you go on, you have access to it? It's like, nope, you got to buy everything from scratch. And it's like, what the fuck, man? Like, I just want to be able to carry all that stuff over because I love those classic games, and I loved having access to that. So essentially, you're just gonna make me rebuy all the same stuff. I think the Switch has done, or Nintendo has kind of done something clever with the Switch, which is to come up with like an alternative to the virtual console. So instead of it being a store where you go to buy classic games, now it's, oh, if you buy our membership, you'll have access to like a random catalog of games, of classic titles. And it's like, okay, well,
it's better than nothing.
That is, well, it's something, but it's just, again, it's frustrating because it's like Nintendo gets away with not addressing the fact that, hey, I paid for a bunch of classic games that was fine on the old console. Why can't the new console just run them, you know? Why can't it just have that stuff carry over so I could play the things that I loved on the old one? Previously, Sony has given the bullshit response saying, well, people don't really want old games anymore. And it's like,
they had to 360 that real quick.
You're not fooling anyone. Like, gamers love video games because a lot of them grew up playing them in their childhood, and we want to play the games that we love from back then. My God, this guy's kicking my ass.
Did they get stronger?
I don't think it got stronger. I think I'm just barely doing any damage. But oh man,
I did want to bring up Sony.
Yeah,
because lately they've been pissing us off a lot. But also they've done okay. It's a weird balancing act that I don't think they're really pulling off. But there's a lot of rumors going on. So let me pull this out. game preservation is important, especially for us too. Like Mash was saying, he bought these fucking games on the Wii. All right, he bought it on the Wii. He should be able to play it in the next console. Like, why not? It should just work. Sony pissed me off when it came to the PS4 because the PS2 purchases I made didn't carry over, and the PS4 didn't play PS1 games until recently, like in the last few years. The Vita was pretty good. It took them a while to make it work, but it did work. Like, you know, you were able to play your PS1 and your PSP games that you purchased on your Vita that you previously purchased. And I'm like, that's what you should be fucking doing. When they introduced this new PlayStation Plus service, the Essentials, the Extra, the Premium, which by the way, I have Premium. They basically said, hey, look, for these PS1 games that we're bringing back, if you previously bought them on the PSP, the Vita, or the PS3, you can just re-download them. We're not going to charge you for it.
On the PS4?
On the PS4 and 5. So Tekken 2, if you bought it previously, just re-download it. Fucking Resident Evil, I think they have put Resident Evil on it. Ape Escape, if you bought it previously, you can re-download it. Jet Moto, and so on and so forth. And yeah, that made me fucking happy. I'm like, wait a minute. Sony did something right again? When it came to the PS2 stuff, Jack X, I don't think they have it up yet, but Jack 1, 2, and 3, I did not buy, you know, I didn't buy digitally on the PS4 because why would I? I have them all. But the service allows me to access them for free. So, well, not for free because I paid for the service. So, again, there are plus and minuses. Some companies do it right. Xbox also did something similar, that if you had a disc of a previous game that they allowed to play on the Xbox One or the Series X or S, like you could do the same thing. So both of them did something right in that sense. But it's still kind of annoying that when it comes to all these other games that they put on the catalog, we only have access to them while we're online.
Yeah.
God forbid, you know, you go somewhere where you don't have internet service and you just want to play the game that you've been playing.
Yeah.
You know, an old school game. Fuck you. Get online. What? We can't authenticate? Go eat a dick. You can't play it. And Nintendo really needs to get their shit together because there's absolutely no reason why an NES or SNES game could not run easily on any emulator they make on any console going forward. There's no fucking excuse. All right, our phones can emulate these consoles perfectly. You can emulate an NES and a Super NES on a freaking potato. Let's not lie. So come on, Nintendo, what the hell? So that's my little mini rant.
Yeah.
And yeah, just in general, another thing that Sony and Microsoft are both guilty of this shit too. I didn't expect Sony to be this way, but they saw the money and they wanted to get those greenbacks. Live service games piss me off. 100% they piss me off. I'm not happy with like 99% of them. Fortnite is one of the biggest fucking problems. People spending money on shit they don't really need to play the game. Literally just skins. And I don't really think there's much value in playing Fortnite other than like enjoying the gameplay. You can't play it offline. There's no offline mode. So if you sunk all that money into Fortnite, when those servers go down, you don't get a fucking game to play. You get nothing.
Yeah.
Mag for the PS3. I bought that disc. I played it. I thought it was an interesting game. So many people all on one map. It felt like an actual war. Only for the servers to go down, and now all I have is a freaking paperweight. It's a coaster for my cup now. That's all it's useful for. That pisses me off. Another live service game go down the drain. Sony, I'm pretty sure Microsoft was trying to get this too. Sony was spending a lot of money into making another live service game. They want that sweet, sweet Fortnite money, where all they got to do is maintain servers, put out a couple skins, maybe a new map or two, and that's it. That's all the live service game needs.
Yeah.
And they started realizing, oh, it's way more difficult than we thought. So now they're pivoting again. And that likely is part of the reason why we're likely not going to get a lot of first party games this year for the PS5. And that annoys me to no end. I wouldn't be surprised if that's also one of the reasons why Microsoft is having issues.
Yeah.
They were likely sinking in money try to get that sweet live service game shit. But also, the fuck, Microsoft? What happened to your IPs? You bought all these fucking companies and we still haven't gotten a new Conquer, a new freaking Banjo-Kazooie. We haven't gotten a new Fable game. Like, what happened to your deal with Sega and freaking Jet Set Radio? Like, we're finally getting a new one, but what happened to Future, Jet Set Radio Future?
It's really just frustrating. I think that what pisses me off most about the situation with Nintendo is the fact that I just feel like their solution, like at least with Sony and Microsoft, they kind of did something a little different. So it was like, oh, if you bought this before, like you could get it. That's good. That's respectable. That's what we want. But with Nintendo, it's like, well, their solution was to just not have a virtual console, and the way we're gonna handle classics on the Switch is different. And it's like all they're doing is just basically digging their head into the ground and saying, and like ignoring the fact that this is what people want. Like, people would want a virtual console just because the Wii U had it, the Wii had it, the Wii U had it, and then on the Switch, it's like, why can't you just transfer over stuff onto the Switch when, well, this time there isn't one. So how could you transfer over something to a service that doesn't exist on the console? And it's like, fuck, man. I hate when companies find like a greedy loophole. It's just, it's such a D-bag move. And yeah, I mean, I was looking forward to, just to think about all the cool games I bought before. I was looking forward to having you know, whatever, 64 games at launch, like available, or NES or Super Nintendo. But then again, the same thing happened to me with PS4, where it's like, and Vita, we didn't have that available from launch. You know, it's like, no, it's going to take time. Or not only is it going to take time, it's just, you're not going to get like the full thing. And yeah, like in some cases they make you like buy it back, and it's just like, why? You know?
Gross.
Exactly. I particularly remember like Sony was trying to commit to releasing PS1 classics like a lot, and eventually they just stopped doing it. And it's like, again, there's no reason you can't just transfer everything and then make it so that people that made that previous purchase will be able to redeem it automatically. I was still upset about PlayStation 2 games on the PS4.
Yeah.
Because
Same.
that was the one thing where it's like, okay, so we're kind of working on PS1 classics. PS3 games I didn't really expect, but I didn't care because I was going to keep my PS3 anyway. But then PlayStation 2 classics, it's PlayStation 2 games, it's like, no, it's just not going to be playable. I'm like, what? So 1 is playable. In a sense, 3 can be playable if it's like a certain game, like didn't they have that service PlayStation Now where you can play those games?
That was their solution to it. You could stream it. And it worked well for some people and it didn't work well for others. It really
was
depended on your
internet-based.
Yeah.
That was the problem with that one. But I ran like MGS4 on it, and it wasn't great because it was internet based, but you could do it. But again, I mean, it's like, you know, why couldn't they just put PlayStation 2 games on? You know, why couldn't they just give us the ability to play all that stuff? And I bought PlayStation 2 games on the PS3, so it was like, so the PS3 can handle PlayStation 2 games, but the PS4 can't handle PlayStation 2 games. It's like, why is this console worse?
So I have some information on that. Then it has to do with console architecture. So the PS4 and the PS5 work way more like PCs, to the delight of all these developers, because now it's a little bit easier to develop games for. The PS3 as we all remember, came out with a PS2 literally built into it. That's why on launch, like, you know, you can play PS2 games no problem. Same thing with PS1 games. Later on, they took out that chip to save costs, to the dismay of all of us. And now they had to build a emulator that worked more or less with every game. And to my understanding, the emulator was built into the ROM that you bought on the PlayStation Store. So to my understanding, each emulator, correct me if I'm wrong, each game had a emulator targeted specifically for it so that it ran mostly okay at the very least. On the PS4, the same thing was done. The architecture was 100% different. The PS3 had like 8 brains to work with, while the PS4 had like maybe 2 max. But it was a powerful ass brain, basically. So now they have to build a completely new emulator for these ROMs and then throw them out on the PS4. I think the problem, and consumers, I don't want to blame the consumers, but we do also have some blame on this, is that they didn't buy the games. Not as much as Sony was hoping. Like on the PS3, the PS1 games and stuff sold all right, but not enough for them to keep wanting to sell more. Same thing with the PS2 games. They tried it on the PS4, people didn't buy it enough, and they said, well, people don't seem to care too much about it. You and me cared. We cared a lot. And in all honesty, to get the emulator working on the PS4 shouldn't have taken that much effort or anything. The fact that we didn't get the original Ratchet and Clank games downloadable on the PS4, same thing with the original Sly games, that pissed me off because they did it for Jak and Daxter. They did it for all 4 Jak and Daxter games. Why couldn't we get it for the... Technically, there's 5. They should have done it with the 5th Jak and Daxter game, too. Why couldn't we get it for the others? Like, what the fuck?
Well, I still think that's excusing the company a little bit, though, because...
It is excusing, but it's a multi-factor thing is what I'm trying to say.
If you're gonna put out another console that's more expensive and that's supposed to be the sequel, it should be able to do all the shit that the old console did, but
I
like
100%
better.
agree.
And
100%.
because we're on like what? We're like the 10th generation of consoles or something, or like further.
1 second, let me double check that.
Yeah, double check it. But because we've come so far along, these companies really should factor in the fact that a lot of people aren't going to hold like 20 consoles in their house because it's just not cost and space effective. So like it's better, it would be better for them to invest in getting to be able to play some of the older games, like having some way to access a full library of the backlog of these retro classic titles, because you put them out and I mean like you're still going to make, you know, you're still going to make money off of the new console, but now that you're asking people to like take up space in their house with something different, you know, you're putting them in a position where they have to choose between do I play the old things and not get to play the new games anymore, or do I just like have a bunch of crap in my house and never have space, you know? I think it's really unfair to like come out with a new console and then it's like saying that you got a new car, and like the old car that you had, it could do everything. It could turn both directions. It's got all-wheel drive. You know, it's got air conditioning. Now it's like, okay, this is the new car. This is the better car. You're gonna pay more money for it. Wow, I totally yeeted that guy.
Yo, seriously.
But now the car doesn't have a handbrake now. It's like now that's like not something we found important, so you just don't have a handbrake. It's like, how can the new thing not accommodate for what the old console was capable of? That's just what I'm saying. And I know that it's cost cutting. I know that, oh, maybe some people didn't buy it, but to me, it's you're selling me something for more money that has less features. That's not a good deal. That's called a ripoff. So,
I 100% agree. That's why I was content with the PS5 at least being able to play PS4 games. But apparently when it comes to the PS2 games that were on the PS4, it's having issues playing those. And I'm just like, are you fucking serious, Sony? Like, you guys couldn't just make an emulator that works, that Omni works on everything? Like, whatever game you throw on it. We're able to do that on PC for the most part. You can't do it on the PS5. The fuck?
I mean, if you said the PS5 and the PS4 are more like PCs, why can't they handle it? People can run all sorts of games emulated on their PCs, like using Dolphin or whatever.
There, again, I'm not an engineer, so I can't tell you for sure what the issue is. But the rumor going around is that they now have a dedicated team for retro games, 100% dedicated.
Mm-hmm.
So we're likely going to see more PS2 games coming to the PS5 and the PS4. And we're likely also going to see supposedly PS3 games now running natively on the, well, not natively, but running through emulator on the PS5.
Okay.
Because there is a PS3 emulator on PC. Most games are playable, but they're not running 100%. Not all of them, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Only a handful are running 100% well. And I'm just like, Sony, it's open source. You used open source shit on the PS Mini. Just fucking use it. Just be like, we love our gamers. Gamers make the PS5, the PlayStation brand, what it is. We're gonna integrate this open source thing. We're gonna lock it up so people can't like easily hack it or whatever. But we're gonna use it and we're gonna bring PS3 games to you guys.
Yeah.
Like, no one's gonna complain. If anything, people are gonna get massive boners off of that. I would. The fuck?
Well, ending it off on that, there's so much more we could talk about.
Yes.
We'll have to continue in a future video. But we're at a time here. So just to kind of recap to what was going on in the actual game, because I know we glossed over a lot of details since we were talking a lot about gaming and stuff. So I had to use the mask that reveals hidden things. It turns the screen all black and white. Use that to cross a bridge that was not accessible without the mask. I got an evil ring. And that evil ring is what we're going to use to get through this. And in the meantime, it was drained of its power. So I had to kill these really tough demons. I don't know why those demons were so hard, but I couldn't kill them all together. So I had to like individually isolate them so that I could just dodge their solo attacks and then just get them into the corner and hack away. But without doing that, there was no way, for some reason, there was like no way I could kill them. Anyway, killing those 3 glowing red demons, we got the ring all charged up, and we're going to go into this door, but we're going to do that on the next episode. So,
indeed.
Thank you so much, guys, once again for watching. We appreciate it. This is now, this would now be the 18th episode of the playthrough. We're really getting up there, and still got a long way to go, but I'm happy that we're making some progress in this game. I love this game. So if you guys enjoyed this, make sure to let us know in the comments below.
Like, comment, subscribe, everyone. Let us know what you think about the gaming industry right now. Do you like the all digital future? Are you gonna miss having these games on disc? I know I will. And yeah, stay tuned for more amazing content because we're bringing it to you.
That's right. Until next time, take care.